What's up, everybody? Don T Pena here from Murder Most Foul, and I am concluding the final video for the video profiles that you guys have all been enjoying from the rest of the band. You know, it's been a while. It's been I was supposed to do them like one after the other, but you know, shit happens, and been pretty busy with the upcoming show with Strength in Numbers Entertainment, May 24th. So I finally got a chance to do the video for you guys, and I'll give you a little insight on my music life, my past, and what we're doing forward with the band. Joining me today, recording video, and you guys will hear their voices in the background, is most of the band. We have Mr. Clicky here. Woo! He'll be asking me questions for you guys. We have Pry Roulette, and we have Ryden. The only one that's not with us today is Joey, because he's dicking off somewhere. So so I'll get right to it. You know, just like in the rest of the theme of all the other videos, I'll just give you guys a quick history on
like a
me.
soulless convention.
Yeah, Joe's at a soulless convention. That's where Joe's at.
Yeah. Lack of soul on the support group.
Exactly.
Family reunion.
Exactly. Family reunion. So basically, my music career, I guess, or introduction to music, I really started when I was 8 years old. I actually played violin was my first instrument. My elementary had this program where you take a music test, a written test. It was really simple. It was like, this is a quarter note, this is an eighth note type thing. They teach you a lesson for about a week, and then you answer like these 5 questions, and if you pass them, they're like, hey, you look like you're interested in music, you want to play. So I did, and I was playing violin because my sister before me played violin. My brother had played violin in that course and all that. So, you know, I was like, oh yeah, I'll play violin like everybody else. And it was fun. I learned some music stuff early on. But I was very bored with the instrument. It wasn't like I was like, oh wow, music, yay, you know. So I ended up, after about a year, I dropped it. I didn't enjoy it, mostly because when you're like 8 years old, you don't want to have to go to school an hour early and then stay there 2 hours later like everybody else. So that kind of sucked, and I didn't want to do that. You know, 2:30 would hit, and I'd see all my friends going home to go play, and I'm stuck at school. And so 8 years old, I wasn't happy about that. So fast forward a couple of years, I go into 7th grade, and I had an elective that I needed to use a class for, and the only thing that was available was marching band or guitar class. And I was like, I ain't no goddamn nerd, fuck marching band, right? And so I chose guitar because I figured it's an easier instrument. I already have some string experience with the violin, so yeah, give me guitar. And even then, when I played guitar, in that first semester, it wasn't something that I was like, oh my god, guitar, yeah, I want to be a guitar player. Like, it really wasn't. It took a while. Like, I was playing it, I was passing the class. But it wasn't until the following semester when my teacher moved me with the advanced group, and there were a bunch of metalheads over there. I mean, there were guys over there, you know, playing Metallica and you know, Slayer and different stuff on an acoustic. And actually, the song was "Fade to Black." I heard one of my friends was playing "Fade to Black" on an acoustic, just that intro, that first riff, and I turned around, I was like, "Oh my god, what is that?" Like, at that point, I hadn't heard a guitar played other than like single string, Mary Had a Little Lamb, kind of, you know, 2-3 note kind of shit, and so I wasn't really impressed by it until I heard what a guitar could really do. After that, when he's like, dude, it's Metallica, Fade to Black, and I'm like, you gotta show that to me, man, like, you know, that's fucking awesome. And so he did, and he showed me the whole first half of the song, the little lead intro, the chords and all that, and that was it. That's when I fell in love. And I found myself like just asking him like, oh, what other songs do you know? You know, how did you learn this? And he's like told me what books to buy. He's like, you know, go get this tab book. And then I'm just, you know, never doing homework after that. You know, I'm like going home, rushing home, like opening my Metallica books, getting Guitar World magazine, just learning different songs from tablature. Just basically that's how I started. I stood in the guitar program all through high school, and it sucked. I went to East LA schools, Garfield and Roosevelt, and their music program sucks. And I'm sorry if you go there, but it did when I was there. Hopefully it improved, I don't know. But it was terrible when I was there. And so most of the time I'd walk into class and there'd be 40 kids, and they're using the same book that I was using from 7th grade. So there wasn't a lot of real heavy teaching. Luckily I had a good teacher though, and he allowed me to come in, bring in my own material, sit in his office, and he's like, I'll help you as I can, but I can't spend a lot of time only with you because I got to teach the class. But he was cool enough to let me just sit in there and like kind of do my own thing, and he would give me some pointers. So that was cool. You know, so from 14, you know, a couple years after that, you know, next couple years, try to start bands with my friends, try to do different things. Nothing ever really worked, probably because I just really didn't know what the hell I was doing and how to start a band. And, you know, graduated high school, just went immediately into the workforce, started working at warehouses, just different things. You have to pay your bills. So I kind of wasted a couple of years not doing a lot of music stuff. And then after I got to the age of about 23, I think 22, 23, I was really frustrated with my music. Nothing was going on. I knew I wanted to be a musician. I knew that I wanted to focus on that as my career, but I had no clue how to get there. And so I was flipping through Guitar World one day, and I saw an ad for Musicians Institute. And I just said, fuck it, I'm going to call and just see what happens, just get some information, maybe it's time to go back to school. And so I did, and they told me there was an orientation that, we should, they set me up with an appointment, and so I went to the orientation for MI and enrolled there. And that was my first real music education, like with theory and really heavy stuff and technique and all that stuff, and that was really helpful. I did 2.5 years at MI, and formed my first band there, first legitimate band, which is Man That Destroyer, shirt I'm wearing right now. Met those guys. They were, great time. That was a real great time. Great experience, great learning experience. We did Hollywood for about 2.5 years, and then we moved up to Toronto, Canada, and did the band up there for about 4 years, from whatever 2005 to 2009, something like that. And it was in 2009 when I came back home. And simply because my visa ran out, it wasn't like a choice. My visa in Canada ran out, so it was hard to do the band and be from the States. And I tried, like I would fly up there back and forth whenever we would do projects and stuff, but it just got too expensive. And so unfortunately that year in 2000, I had to, talk to my buddy, PJ, what's up, man? And just told him, like, I have to walk away from the band. It's better for them. They don't have to wait around for me, and I, can do a new project here in the United States. And so that's what I did. I came back home. I wanted to further my education, so I enrolled in Citrus to pursue my bachelor's degree in music. And after a couple of years, being here a couple of semesters, I met the different members that you guys have kind of all heard the stories. We met in a performance class. The first person I did meet was Joey. And just going through the school, meeting different people, kind of having this idea of a band in my head, and this more of a progressive metal band, but really waiting to find the right people. And it took a while. It took a couple of semesters, a couple of years to really get the people that I really wanted and thought I felt I could trust these guys and we can make some really cool stuff together. But when it did happen, it's great. I love what we're doing right now. I think you guys will enjoy the music and some of the new music that's coming out as we're growing here with you guys. So it's really fun. As you can see, I'm speeding over a lot because if you guys have watched the other videos, you've pretty much heard the history of how we all met. So I'm not going to really go too far into that because you guys have really heard all of it already.
No spoilers.
Like what?
No spoilers.
No spoilers. Well, they've already heard it. So
yeah.
What else? I've been teaching. Everything I do is music. I teach guitar. On my off time, I teach private lessons. I help run a promotional company, String Numbers Entertainment, with my buddy Dan Clore. I'm a promoter for them. I'm a music major. I used to work at a music store. So everything I do, or at least try to do, is in some way involved in music. And I try to focus on that, and every little decision is to try to further our music career. As far as the band name Murder Most Foul, the way that came about, I was actually managing the band. A couple of buddies of mine, I was managing the band a couple of years ago, and they were changing their name. And we had a book with a bunch of different names and stuff, and so we're just kind of reading the list, and I came across that name, Murder Most Foul. And I actually suggested it for them. I was like, oh, this is a cool name. That's metal. And a couple of members liked it, the other members did it, and I told them then, I was like, well, if you guys don't take it, I'm totally taking this name because I think it's great. I think it's a great name. The whole Shakespeare thing and all that is just really cool. So I did, and I had that. So at that point, I'm like, great, I have a band name now. Now I need the band members. I have an idea of what I want to do, progressive metal, whatever. Now let's go find the members. And through Citrus, literally found every single member, which is really lucky. You don't always get to find a good group of people all in one place, all at the same time, and I was lucky enough to have that happen. So, so we're excited. We already have a couple of shows under the belt, and we got more on the horizon. We're hopefully going to tour by the end of summer, and then the album and stuff will be written around that same time. So we'll keep you guys posted on all that great stuff. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to my guys here, and they get to give me some questions. I'm a little afraid, but go ahead.
You mentioned earlier at the beginning that your introduction to a more in-depth insight on the guitar was a Metallica riff. Could you talk a little bit about your musical influences? Obviously, one of them being Metallica.
Oh, definitely. And it's like everybody else. It's very broad. It's and it's changed over the years as far as my preferences now, more recently, but definitely back then. I like writing. Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Hendrix, The Doors, The Beatles, of course Metallica, Slayer, the big four, Metallica, Slayer, Anthrax, and Megadeth. Literally those bands, those four bands, were my introduction into music education. Like, that's how I learned how to play guitar, really. And just knowing what a power chord was because of Fade to Black. And, and I would sit there like, we're lucky enough we kind of live in the internet age. I know, all previous musicians, it's like, they had to really hump to learn stuff. Like, you had to have a tape and see if maybe you find some music on it and you just sit there learning. When I was coming up, the internet was around, hard to believe for you youngster fuckers out there. But it was around, and it just wasn't as popular. But we did have, I started with tab books, and we had CDs and tabs, so I'd open up, a tab book, and that's how I would learn. But definitely my influences started with the old school thrash and old school metal, a lot of death metal. As I became more serious as a musician, my influences changed, where I got into more technical music, Dream Theater, Rush, Pink Floyd, Tool. Like, really started getting into it because as I got better, I'm like, well, okay, I love the thrash and I love that old school stuff. That's the heavy, that's the raw aggression, that's great. Well, I'm listening to this other stuff. Joe Satriani and Steve Harvey, it's crazy. I don't understand what's going on there. I appreciate it, but I want to know how to do that. So I started leaning on more stuff like that, and my music education kind of took me more in that direction. And so, yeah, definitely Dream Theater. Now, more than ever, these newer metal bands, which I think are great, Protest the Hero, Animals as Leaders, Volumes, did I ever say Protest and Periphery?
Periphery.
You didn't say Periphery, you did say Protest.
Okay, Periphery, I'm sorry. And just those bands, these new metal bands that are coming up, and they're just completely technical and just really aggressive, really heavy, but at the same time, they're really musically gifted. And so that's what we're trying to strive for, or at least that's what I'm trying to strive for when it comes to this band, is to try to be as heavy and as aggressive as we can, but at the same time have really, really good structure and good music quality. And hopefully it comes across. But yeah, definitely those are, in a quick way, those are some of my influences. Oh, Stevie Ray Vaughan too. Love Stevie. B.B. King. So go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you started off, I'm sure you had a certain mindset and it changed over the years. How do you think you've improved, like, musically, theory-wise, like, the way you see things, or the way you really, like, perceive?
Definitely trial and error, I think. I was lucky enough, when I came up with when I started music, I had no idea what the fuck I wanted as far as how to run things. And so going through a program like the Musicians Institute and seeing how professionals do it was really educational. Just you get in there, you don't waste time, and I was like, wow. And there was points where I didn't think I could do it. It was like, this is too heavy for me. Like, I can't handle it. And I met guys like Dan Clore, my buddy Sabino from Chicago, my buddy PJ, singer for Man the Destroyer. Guys like that surrounded me and were just like, nah, man, stick with it. You can do this. And just really, so having some really good structure around some really good friends to help motivate you and educate you was really helpful for me. And then going through it, being a part of a band like Man the Destroyer, being a co-founder and a leader in that band, learning as we go and knowing from our mentors, hearing how they do things or how the things are done in the pros, and then we adapted it to our band. And so not everything works, it doesn't always work, but I got to experience it, live it, and try it, and it's like, okay, that worked, okay, that didn't. And then dealing with different personalities, I learned how to deal with all these different people on it's not always about screaming, or it's not always about being nice, and you got to find this good mixture of what works for everybody. And so that's how I can gauge things now. Because of my past and because of my experience, I get to sit there and it's like, well, okay, this guy doesn't respond well to me screaming at him. Maybe I could try a different approach. Or this guy doesn't respond when I'm just being too nice, so maybe I got to scream at it. So it's definitely a learning process all the time. And I try to put myself in those shoes, in those situations. Like, okay, well, how do I want to be approached? Or what's working, what isn't working? So, yeah, hope that answers that. You give me some weird look, like you have some really fucked up thing to say.
Nah, I'm thinking about what I want to ask. I guess What is the hardest part about managing this band thus far?
Oh wow. I don't know. I wouldn't say it's hard. I guess really the hardest thing realistically is schedules. And I think that's just with anything. Because to me, everything else I can deal with. Everything else I not only I accept, like I expect everything else. Like, you know, whether it's little tiffs or drama things, or like, you know, or discussions about music, or, you know, or parts. But like that stuff I'm used to. That stuff I actually welcome and I expect, because it's just part of it and I'm used to it. The hardest things are things I can't control. So when it comes to like scheduling and stuff like that, that's hard. Getting 4 or 5 people in one area at a consistent time is super difficult for anybody. So that's why I didn't get my shot at the bastard. As long as I can talk.
What happened? I can't be around you guys?
No,
You're doing a Murder Most Foul interview.
You get to say hi to some of the guys from 8-Bit, making a cameo in our video profile here. Not David. David sucks, right? He's not part of it.
David's too, Rody.
No, David doesn't suck. He comes to the shows. I love him. But yeah, like definitely, I guess schedules and there's stuff that the hard part is just not being able, you know, stuff that you can't control, things that are just, you know, there's no way around it. You just got to deal with it. So that, I would say that's probably the hardest part. What else? You guys got anything else? Is that it? Really? That's it?
No. Wanted to ask. I'd say about in the next 2 years, where do you see Murder Most Foul? I know we're doing a lot of work with strength in numbers. Where do you see us going, and on a realistic scale, how big do you see the band getting with all the blood, sweat, and tears we're putting into this?
As big as we can take it. I mean, I have no limitations on what we want to do. At the same time, the decisions being made, you know, have to be smart. So I'm not going to put us in a situation that's going to kill us, you know. And I think a lot of bands make that mistake. They have these big dreams, but they overreach and they end up destroying the band because it was a great idea, but they just didn't plan for it. And I hope that we can plan smart enough for certain things and continue to build and build. But as far as in 2 years, definitely, I mean, I definitely see us doing a national tour. That is the goal, that is the plan. We're going to start doing mini tours at the end of summer. You know, little 2-3 week things here just to kind of start to get that experience, just to hit certain territories. Of course, the album's going to come out within a year's time. And then by then, I hope we're playing festivals. Well, not even hope, but we plan to be playing festivals by then. And definitely national tour. Like, and hopefully by then we've done it a couple of times where when we start to hit some of these other areas and these other territories, that people will know us, that they're actually expecting us to come back. So that's definitely the goal and definitely the plan, is to be on a national level and then eventually worldwide. Of course, is I think every musician's goal, but right now, locally and then nationally, and we'll see where it takes us, but that is definitely in the plan.
All right.
Going back to the whole mindset thing, you know, we all know Don as a hard ass sometimes when it comes to music, and we know when it's work time, it's work time. And like, how do you feel you've evolved from when you first started playing music? Like, did you have that same mindset, or did it have to? Was there certain obstacles you had to come through?
Yeah, no, definitely. Not at all. I mean, if you met Don, 2002, 2003 musician, man, you would look at him and be like, this guy's not gonna fucking make it. This guy is, you know, he wastes too much time. Even prior to that, because I really didn't know how to do it, and I was in certain aspects was too nice to people, or would allow certain things like, oh, it's cool, like they're a friend, they'll figure it out, and sometimes people don't, or they are not aware of the problem because you don't bring it up. I'll give you an example. When I was going to MI, like right when I started, I had a so-called death metal band at the time, and it was right when I started attending MI, and then I met PJ, and we formatted the Destroyer. Within a month and a half, we had 6-7 songs, and we had booked the show. There's a new band, and at the time I was like, oh, this is my side project. You know, this isn't my main band. My main band is my death metal band. And in that band, I had a couple of members I was a consistent drummer. We had one song. In a year, we had one fucking song. And he couldn't even play that whole thing all the way through. And I'm like, what? You know, and then here's this so-called side project that I'm doing, this hard rock / metal band. And we have 6-7 songs, and already playing a show. you know. And it made me realize, and when I would walk into that rehearsal, we'd walk in, you know, there'd be some high fives, hey, what's up, oh, yeah, what's up, and we, you know, we'd bullshit for about 5-10 minutes, and then our singer was like, all right, you guys ready, you ready, you tuned up, yeah, okay, cool, let's go. And we just start playing, and it was very structured, it was very disciplined, and I realized, wow, this is how it's done. None of these guys are fucking around, like, they're just ready, like, oh, cool, you ready, Don? All right, cool, let's go, you know, and it really opened my eyes. Well, I saw the difference between a garage band and an amateur and a wannabe to guys who really want to do it. And that was my rude awakening for that, and that's when I really started to take myself seriously and approach everything that I did when it came to music in that fashion, the way my peers did, because now I saw myself as a peer with those guys.
All right.
So, follow-up question to that. What would you, not necessarily, what would you say, or what would you tell musicians who have that mindset that you had when you were first starting? Like, what would you have told yourself, actually? What would you have told yourself 2002 Don? You know, what would you have said to him? Like, at least having that mindset that you have now.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I would ask 2002 Don, or just any musician that's in that position, like, you know, what do you really want to do? You know, do you truly want to be a musician? Do you want to be a professional? Do you want to actually work in the industry? If the answer is yes, then why are you wasting your time? You know, educate yourself, be open-minded, and be serious, be disciplined. Because if you're not, you're gonna be another weekend warrior. You're gonna be a garage band. You're just gonna make your music, and you're gonna be played for, you know, 4 or 5 of your friends, you know, in your house. And that's great if that's what some people want. If that's, you know, what you're telling them, that's awesome. But if you're telling yourself you want to be a professional musician, and this is exactly what I would have told myself 10, 12 years ago, you know, if you're serious, man, if this is what you want to do, then you need to stop screwing around with this other dude who's obviously a waste of time, these other people who are a waste of time, and look at the guys that are serious, and look at what they've accomplished already. And it's just as simple as being disciplined and being serious and taking yourself seriously and not wasting time. So
The guys that want to be proactive and constructive.
exactly, proactive. That's a great word, and that's exactly what I tell them: is just be proactive. You know, get involved, educate yourself, and listen to other people who you might, you know, respect or admire, and ask them how they're doing it. How did they get there? What did they do to change? And luckily, I was lucky enough where I got that. I was able to get that education, have really good friends around me, and then see some of my, you know, idols and heroes that came through MI, and just got to sit with them a little bit and kind of chat with them. They're like, when you start to hear the same thing over and over again from different sources, you start to realize, fuck, maybe they're right. Wow, yeah, maybe I should, you know. So I was lucky enough to have that, and it helped to really shape how I do things now. Well, so I think we're good. I think that's going to conclude our video stuff here today. I hope you guys enjoyed our video series with some insight and some little history on all of the members of our band. Continue to follow us. Of course, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. We just opened up, so if you're not on our Twitter account, please follow us. We'd love to talk to you guys.
Follow us!
And hopefully we see you at the May 24th show. And Murder Most Foul, man. It's going to happen. Peace.